Nice, fun comedy show. We're going to keep it light up top. How you guys feeling about Ukraine? Good? I think, look, no matter how you feel about what's going on over there, just in general, I think we can all be happy about one thing. It's been 2 years and they're not all dead. Isn't that crazy? Do you guys remember the beginning of that war? CNN was just every day, they're all going to be dead in 2 minutes if we don't nuke Russia. Do you not remember the fervor that was going on? And then just Zelensky came on TV like a week in. It was like the middle of that street fight in Rocky V. Just like, I didn't hear no bell. I spent 2 years zooming into the UN like it was Nate Diaz after he beat up Conor McGregor. Like, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers, let's go! Here's the weirdest thing about when that war started to me, though. Where did everybody get those flags so quick? Where the hell did they come from? They were everywhere. First day of the war. What did they know that I did? I didn't know what was going on. Was some guy just sitting in an Amazon warehouse pulling stripes off of pride flags? Like, if I don't get these out by morning, Jeff Bezos is gonna fuck my wife again. Got really tense in the beginning of that war. I know it's been going on for 2 years now. Nobody cares anymore, right? Yeah. Nobody cares anymore, right? Remember in the beginning, very beginning of that war, they were like, a hot Ukrainian woman will come stay in your house, just give your taxes so that they can go fight Putin. Remember that? They were like just advertising mail order brides on the news. It was crazy. And then Israel went to war, and every defense contractor and news outlet just became a gangster rapper from the 90s. They were like, money over bitches, I'm sorry. But it did get tense in the beginning. Remember how tense that got in the beginning, right? Like, people were just vandalizing Russian restaurants, all kinds of stuff, right? There's a place in Canada that changed the name of poutine on their menu because it sounded too much like Putin. They did not go with diarrhea fries. That's what I would have went with. That's what it looks like. They went with pomme de fromage, which just means cheese fries in French. It's a lot classier than all that bullshit we pulled during the Iraq War, right? You remember that? Freedom fries, freedom toast. I don't want to have to do that with Russian stuff, right? You order a Reuben sandwich, you're like, God damn it, there's not enough freedom dressing on this fucking sandwich. I'm so upset I'm gonna go play Freedom Roulette. Freedom Roulette is a better name for that game. Can we all agree on that? It's a very freeing game if you think about it, right? Because if you're very depressed because somebody messed up your sandwich order or whatever, just play a little Freedom Roulette, because either A, you win, and that's gotta be the best dopamine rush you'll ever get in your life, right? Or B, you lose, and you don't have to worry about your depression anymore. Freedom Roulette. Guys, I suffered depression a long time. Russian roulette will never be on DraftKings. But if you guys get behind me right now, next football season, you'll be able to parlay Freedom Roulette with the Patriots. Come on, guys. Back to what I was talking about. It's weird with that war, though, because it got very tense with, I know a lot of Eastern Europeans, man. I'm from Brooklyn. I lived deep in Brooklyn for years, and there's every sort of Eastern European you can know out there. Like, I knew dudes growing up from Russia, Ukraine, Azerbaijan, all that shit. You know what we called them growing up? Russians. They all had the same accent. Sometimes they'd agree with you. I remember I was in this guy's car once. I was like, you're like Russian, right? And he was like, well, bro, technically when I was a baby, Ukraine was part of USSR, so you're not wrong. Now you're gonna buy this Molly and get the fuck out of my Lexus or what? All right, whatever, Gleb, give me the fucking ecstasy. Election day's coming up, it's even scarier than Halloween. Ooh. Are you guys gonna miss Joe Biden? No. I'm gonna miss Joe Biden for a lot of reasons. The main one being Hunter Biden. That guy rules. Do you guys know what I would do if my dad was the president? Smoke crack and fuck hookers. Probably get a bunch of foreign dumbasses to give me money for no reason. That kid is the man. Do you remember his iCloud got hacked? And they leaked, it was like 200 hours of just videos of him smoking crack and having sex with prostitutes. And I watched all of them in 1 week. There was a week a couple of years ago, I saw Hunter Biden's dick more than my own. People were weirded out by it. Everybody was freaked out. Remember Marjorie Taylor Greene showed it at the floor of Congress? And everybody's like, why are, like, you see this thing on like Twitter and so everybody's like, oh, why are all these people obsessed with Hunter Biden's penis? Why are they It's not Hunter, it's I will watch any famous person have sex to see if I can learn something. I watched that Hulk Hogan sex tape more times than I watched him wrestle Randy Savage. I just kept going, what's the finish gonna be? Is he gonna drop the big leg? Nope, come in the face. Okay, that again. But I actually, there's a weird thing. No matter what you think about Joe Biden as a president, whatever team decided to run him, the way they pitched him when he announced he was running in the primaries, do you guys remember that? It was amazing, right? I'll never forget how I found out Joe Biden was running for president. I was sitting on my couch and I was eating spaghetti out of a measuring cup. Because I didn't want to wash a plate or a fork. So I'm watching the news and I'm drinking spaghetti, right? And I was like, oh man, I might be one of those uninformed voters that they're always talking about on TV. And as an uninformed voter, if you don't remember, the way they pitched Joe Biden in this country, they were like, Joe Biden will be the boring president. Do you guys remember that? They were like, we promised Joe, after 4 years of Trump, Joe will be boring, right? And that is great if you're an uninformed voter, right? Because it was like they sent up the bat signal. And they were like, hey asshole. And I was like, what's up? And they were like, do you think politics is gay and stupid and shit? And I was like, I don't think we're allowed to talk like this anymore, CNN. And they were like, look, if you never, ever want to think about politics again, just vote for this pudding-headed mushmouth, and we swear to fucking God. And yeah, I mean, they lied, right? They lied completely. All the stuff they said about Joe Biden was a massive lie. Remember they said he was gonna fix racism in this country? The cool black guy didn't fix racism in this country. Do we really think his Mr. Drummond was gonna fix racism in this country? They said he was gonna fix the border, remember that? And then he just rebranded ICE agents as dream catchers and kept them moving. And the weirdest thing was, like, they tried to pitch this thing with Joe Biden. They were like, Joe Biden's been in government forever. He's a centrist. He's gonna bring the two parties together again. And that was the biggest lie of all, right? Because they went right back to war as soon as Joe Biden became president, right? They got Trump out, and then they just went right back to war. And it was just like, the Republicans do what Republicans do, right? Like the gerrymandering things, the voter ID laws. They had that thing down in Georgia where you couldn't drink water online to vote. You had to be Parts for Freedom, whatever that was, And the Democrats, in a lot of ways, were worse, right? If you remember, when he first became the president, they were like, we have to make everything a state now, right? Puerto Rico, state. DC, state. Marvel Comics, state. Everything's a state. What's in American Samoa? A bunch of pro wrestlers? All right, that's a state now, too. We're going to Massachusetts. The Rock's the governor. Let's go! The worst idea I heard from that camp after Joe Biden became president, Nancy Pelosi got on TV right after Joe Biden became president. It was like, well, now that Joe's president, maybe we could lower the voting age to 16 finally. And I was like, wow, that's the worst idea I've ever heard in my life. Does nobody else in this room remember their opinion of the film Donnie Darko when they were in high school? I think we should lower the drinking age to 16, raise the voting age to 21. Yeah, I want you to have 5 years of solid regrets before you choose the leader of the free world. I want you to have 5 straight years of getting blackout drunk, waking up next to an ex you don't remember calling, and you're like, damn it, I hate this person! That's the only way we're getting a viable third party in this country. But you can't do that, right? You can't raise the voting age to 21 because the military age is 18, right? And that makes sense, right? You can't have people go fight and die for their country and not be able to choose the leader of the country, right? But I think at this point, we can maybe raise the military age to 21 as well, right? Because we don't have a draft anymore, right? And I think everybody in this room would admit that you're a better person at 21 than you are at 18, right? Yeah, except the military kind of needs you at 18, don't they? They need you wide-eyed, fresh-faced, right out of high school, looking for any opportunity you can get. It's a lot like the porn industry that way. Here's another way the military is like the porn industry. Do you guys know what gay for pay is? Seems like you don't. I'll explain it. Gay for pay is when a guy really wants to be in porn, and he shows up at a porn producer's office and he goes, I want to have sex with all those chicks. And then that porn producer goes, not so fast, champ. You can have sex with all these dudes first. And that guy does not want to have sex with those dudes. He's not a gay man. He showed up at a porn producer's office looking for a job. But he does it. He has sex with every single one of those dudes. And he does it for the promise of a better future. That's the GI Bill. If we're gonna let anybody join the military at 18, it should be the gay for pay guys, right? They're warriors on a level I don't understand. But yeah, we're recording this before this election, which it's not gonna come out till after, and everybody's a little worried about what's gonna happen because both of these candidates are crazy people. Can we all agree on that? It's like Trump is like, we all know Trump is crazy, right? He called a man who's an autocratic dictator with nuclear weapons, Little Rocket Man. That's like if somebody's pointing a gun at you, and you go, what are you gonna do, shoot me, pussy? And the only thing you have to defend yourself with is a baby, you know? Even Trump's benign crazy is crazy, right? Like, do you guys remember when he announced the Space Force? Dude, I remember I woke up one morning and it was just like everybody was like, there's gonna be a Space Force now? And I was just like, what? Why does this lunatic want a Space Force, right? So I Googled, do any countries have a Space Force? Turns out 4 countries already had a Space Force. First was the United States of America. We just called it Air Force Space Command. That wasn't a punchy enough name for Trump. He was just like, nope, Space Force, it's the X Games of space warfare, we're getting extreme. Then the next 2 countries were Russia and China. And that makes sense. They're our global competitors. You want to keep up with them. And then for some reason, the 4th country was France. That's true. I didn't make that up. France has a Space Force. Did they think the moon was actually made of cheese? Why else would the French go to space? You know what my first thought was when I found out France had a Space Force? How about you pussies win a land war first? But Kamala is also crazy, right? We can all agree on that too, right? But she's like sneaky crazy. She's like wine mom crazy, you know what I mean? She like passes out early, but and it's like, I base this on one thing, right? Who uses the word joy when it's not Christmas time? Who does that? Imagine you ran into a friend of yours, and you're like, what's up, buddy, how you feeling? And they were just like, joy? Like, are you on ecstasy right now? I just want everybody to have a joyous day. Are you a Jehovah's Witness now? And then imagine they put out that weird cackle. You know, like, oh, you're schizophrenic. I'm switching train cars. She's crazy. And obviously, like her big issue is abortion, right? That's the big thing. And I know probably people in this room don't agree with me. I happen to be pro-abortion, right? Just in general. I didn't go to college, but like, I was drafted out of high school. I didn't have to. Pro-abortion, you know what I mean? It's fine with me. I know people don't agree with me on this aspect of this, and it's fine. But it's weird because of that, it's like on other issues, the people who are pro-abortion don't agree with you. Because I was very anti-vaccine mandate during COVID. And when it would come up in New York City, people would be like, oh, how do you feel about abortion? My body, my choice. And I'd be like, look, just so you know, I am pro-abortion mandates. Like, if you're ugly or pronounce it supposedly, I gotta shop back in the trunk, lady. I'll drive that son of a bitch down to Texas, hit reverse, yell pull, see if somebody blasted with a shotgun. Now we got the rights back down there, right? They keep calling Kamala a communist, and I'll be honest with you guys, I never went to college, so I don't know what communism really is. Nobody's beat it into my skull yet. So I had to read about communism because of the election, right? And I wasn't gonna get into the Kamala communism because that's new. You gotta do the Netflix, you gotta go back to the beginning and binge, right? So I read Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto last week. Woo! Yeah. There is some good stuff in there. Like when he's like the working class needs to seize the means of production, I was like, fuck yeah! I think we're gonna have to invade China though, that's where we keep that now. And I was like, uh-oh, they already have a wall. The other guy told me those were impenetrable. I think Trump should have stuck to the wall. He hasn't mentioned the wall much at all lately. Remember in the beginning when Trump came out, that first whole term, it was just like, it started with the wall, then there'd be all these subplots, and then it would come back to the wall. It was like a season of Game of Thrones. It was great. Except the incest storyline with him was like a will they, won't they, Sam and Diane sitcom thing, right? The new thing with Trump, the big story for Trump's run this time was the fact that he's significantly more popular with black men than he used to be, right? And people don't understand how that's happening. Obama came out and was upset about it, and a bunch of people were talking about it. It's like, well, let's look at Trump's last year. Let's just look at actually the court case from New York. That was a law that was passed in 2022, and it was used to prosecute him for crimes that he committed in 2016. So literally there's a precedent where anyone else would have either gotten a slap in the wrist or a misdemeanor. And Donald Trump got convicted of 34 felonies. I wonder why black men in America might identify with that. The only way they could have got more black guys to like Donald Trump is if the guy who shot him was a fucking cop. Either that or if Joe Biden used his weird old man wizard powers to turn him into a pack of Newports or something. I'm worried though, if Trump is the president, I'm worried I'm gonna have to learn a bunch of new genders again. Do you guys remember how crazy they went with all the new stuff we had to know? I don't like it. I can't keep up. When I was younger, if you were talking to somebody, you knew had a dick. No, I was mostly assuming that they had a dick somewhere on their person. I'm not gonna guess where. Even if they were wearing like eyeliner and lipstick, you were like, well, this is just a gay guy or he's about to shoot up a school. You know what I mean? Like, it was simple to keep track of. Now I can't do it. I got a friend who he dates a they, them person, and I didn't know, and I drink too much. And one day, he's just complaining, and he's just going, you know, I love them. They're just a handful. They just do too much. I think they just got arrested. And I was just like, dude, are you talking about a group of bitches? What are we? And he was like, no, Sarah. And I was like, oh. Is that always a pronouns? He's like, yeah. He's like, I never heard you. Do you always say it like that? He's like, well, not around black guys because they will call me gay. And I was like, if I'm this drunk, just assume I'm black. I can't keep up with any. They pulled you had to learn so much new stuff when Trump was the president to not get in trouble. I had to learn about intersectional feminism. I didn't know what that was. The first time I heard that term, I assumed it was a euphemism for scissoring. You can imagine the roller coaster of emotion I went on when my girlfriend came home and was like, I've been reading about intersectional feminism. I was like, yeah? And she started talking and I was like, fuck! Can't do all that stuff. I've always been bad at keeping up on stuff. You know what I mean? Even when I was younger, man, I remember I was a kid. First time I heard the term homophobia, it didn't make any sense to me. It means you're scared of gay people? Nobody's scared of gay people. You ever been to one of those parades? You can't fear something that whimsical. The word always should have been gaysist. It's right there, it rhymes. That's what fourth graders have been doing on playgrounds for generations. Like, what's your name, David? It's David now, you're the gay kid. We're moving on. And then of course, everything's gonna be racist again if Trump becomes president, right? Like, it's like, you already can't call people from Puerto Rico garbage. That's what every Dominican barber I've ever gone to in Washington Heights has always said. And it's weird because, like, sometimes you just have racial questions about things, right? You know, just in general. Like, you guys know that they want to put Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill? Yep. Yeah, is it going to be okay for me to call a $20 bag of weed a tub sack at that point? There's another racial question. Mickey Mouse. Is he in whiteface or does he shave his face? These are questions we're never really going to have the answer to because this country is not ready for an open, honest discussion about race, right? Even when it's like something like regular with race stuff, like I remember years ago, there was this thing, remember that hoverboard fad? You guys remember that?
Yeah.
You know, they were the little, they had wheels on, they didn't hover, that was very annoying. As somebody who grew up watching Back to the Future, I was like, I don't understand what these things, they just buzzed around and like, they were everywhere when they first, I'm not talking about when they first came out. They were everywhere in my neighborhood. I live in Flatbush, Brooklyn, but the only people that had them, I'm talking about when they were $400, the only people that had them were 17-year-old black dudes. And they were buzzing around the neighborhood, just like, I seen a kid on a date, girl walking him. I didn't understand the point. I was just, what are you doing with these things? And then it hit me one day, sneakers. The fewer steps you take, the crispier your sneakers stay. I thought those guys were being frivolous with their money. It was an investment in their future, right? I said that in a bar one night. This girl goes to me, she goes, "You can't say that, that's racist." I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. The first thing I did when I figured that out is I texted 5 black dudes in their 30s and they were all like, "You're a genius." We couldn't figure that out either. You know what she said to me though? She goes, "You can't just say you have black friends. That makes you an undercover racist." To which I said, "Whatever you say, lady, I don't care. Just please don't tell my black friends. It's really gonna upset them." You think I've been matching my hat to my sneakers for the last 30 years as part of some 21 Jump Street initiative. It was weird, like, you remember for a while they were saying you can't say, "Hey, I'm not racist," because that means you're racist. You guys remember that? Yeah, which is annoying if you look racist, right? Like, I don't look like some Appalachian dueling banjo, I don't look like that racist, but I look like NYPD in the 90s racism, right? Some people have resting bitch face, I have resting pig face, it happens, you know? You guys are mad at that joke. One of my black friends is a cop, he said it was fine. But like I said, yeah, I'm like getting older, I can't keep up with these things, but I'll tell you this, I like getting older, right? Because you get wiser as you get older. I'm 41 years old now, man. I'm like more than halfway to death, probably, you know? And I like getting wiser, right? Like, my new thing at my age is I don't think guys my age should call the younger generation soft. I think it's kind of a corny thing to do, and also, we're kind of the next softest generation, aren't we? What was our hard show? We to blow in a cartridge before we played a video game? Calm down. Like, maybe at some point I was tough in my 20s, but in my 40s, I can't make eye contact with a dog or a baby without being like, "Hey, buddy." And these kids nowadays, they have a toughness that some of us didn't have when we were, how old are you?
41.
41.
I'll be 41 in a couple weeks, sorry.
Okay, so yeah, we're about to say, yeah, okay. You remember in high school you would pretend you wouldn't do certain sex stuff because it was like kind of vaguely gay or kind of nasty, or, "Well, I'm gonna suck girls' toes, that's gross." Meanwhile, they're right here, just give them a suck, they like it. Come on. Treat your girl nice, you know? You would do anything for a lady to touch your penis back then. You'd be like, "Whatever, piss in my eyeball, lady, I don't care, just touch my fucking cock, please!" These kids nowadays, they don't have any of those trepidations. They're like, "What, you never butthole 69? What are you, gay, son?" I say that, I'm an adult man. I don't trust another adult man who's never eaten ass. I mean, look, not every day, take the summers off, right? But how have you never been in the 69 position and been like, "I wonder what happens if I stick my tongue in that hole?" Same thing happens every time, right? You go, "Huh," then goes, "Ah!" She goes right back to doing what she was doing, right? It's like watching Mike Tyson fight in the 90s. You know how it's gonna end, but you're gonna watch. Eating pussy sometimes feels like watching Jake Paul fight now. There's a lot of hype going in. Lasts longer than any of us really wanted to. And at the end, everyone's disappointed. What was I talking about? Oh, right. Generations. I think even generational praise sometimes is misguided, right? My dad was born in this country in 1930. He had me late in life, right? But all of his brothers had fled fascism in Italy, and then they went back to fight fascism in Italy. And that's why we call them the greatest generation. But if they were really a great generation, would they have interned the Japanese and beat their wives? I knew you guys were gonna laugh at that, that's fine. You're probably thinking to yourself, "Hey man, don't talk like that about World War II veterans. I had family in World War II. Of course you did. It's a world war, that's everybody. Should have called it the participation medal generation, right? Fucking snowflakes. Guys, you've been great. I love coming down to New Hampshire. Thank you so much. Give it up for Chris one more time.